I stink? I don't have an intro yet, so my name is Lana and I'm living. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I want to be hot. I'm about to be 25 and like that's really my goal right now. And before you wrinkle your nose up at me and you're like, Alana, looks aren't everything. I know. Alana, that's so shallow. Shut up. Lana, looking hot isn't everything. That's why we don't jump to conclusions, okay? That's why we put on our listening ears. And said I wanted to look hot. I said I wanted to be hot, okay? I want to be someone hot, yeah, and specifically someone I would find hot. And I find a whole bunch of different stuff hot, from physicality and looks to intelligence, your faith, confidence, talent, etc., etc. So don't call me shallow. This video isn't gonna be about looking hot though. Yes, this video is about looks, but more specifically style. For a while, I've been buying an amalgamation of clothes and accessories that don't really go together simply because they fit. And honestly, in most cases, they don't fit. I have been dressing like I want to win a Billie Eilish lookalike contest recently, mixed with a 15-year-old little girl, you know? I don't think I'm dressing my age. I've been really having a hard time putting a cohesive outfit together. I want to expand my closet without looking like somebody's tacky mama. Feel like it's time to start dressing my age. And if you watched my introduction video, I told you guys I want my life to become this beautiful tapestry. I believe that every aspect of my life is art, and as a crafty girl that is planning on making a lot of different things that I can wear, like, comment, subscribe, I would love for my fashion and the clothes I wear to become an extension of showcasing my art. I've always loved fashion. I was a Bratz doll girl when I was little. You know, those ones that I stole from my sister. Love you, stink. Fashion has always been a fascinating area of our world to me, because not only is it a necessity, but it's a way that we show who we are to those around us. Our culture, our interests, our backstory. We're constantly putting who we are on our bodies, kind of, and letting people know before they can even speak to us to get to know us. I really love cohesive bodies of work, so I'm really setting out to create a closet full of clothes that showcase who I am. And I want little black girls to see me and think I'm cool and pretty, you know? I want people to be inspired by me. I want little black girls to see me and be like, wow, look at her. She's really cool. I want to be like her when I grow up, you know? Who doesn't? The problem for me becomes, what is style? What are the aspects that come together to create my style? I wanted to break it down into its base components and have a better understanding of what elements come together to create my style in a more cohesive way than what I've been doing previously, and what can define me better than those little TikToks that are like, send this to your best friend and have them tell you what your aesthetic is, you know? Those are all pretty one note, you know, you're fairy princess or you're cottagecore or you're punk rock. And I think there are different aspects of every single one of those styles that comes together to create a specific person. Y'all are going to hear this a lot, but I think of life as a bunch of different Venn diagrams kind of smushed together, and I'm not just one specific thing. And you can't just hold up this picture, you know, this is the type of style I am, and go shopping like that, you know? Your clothes are going to become very one note, I think. So, what's the point of all of this? What's the point of fashion? I Googled it and got a few answers. I like kind of breaking it down to one of three things. One, storytelling. Clothes is something that we can constantly evolve. Our clothing as a society, as a people, it's something that we can constantly change and use to understand ourselves, others, and our history. Something that ties us to this specific moment in time. It's a little time capsule. We are constantly evolving, and that is shown very much through clothing. Two, again, a beautiful tapestry that we use every single day to bring art into every day. We're constantly buying clothes, wearing clothes, and showing people who we are through our clothes. So in a way, it can be a form of art. Three, it's a necessity. We as people need clothes. We can't just walk around naked, you know, we're not going through life like that. We have to wear clothes. So again, with my Venn diagram, it's all three of these things. It's a tool that we can use to keep track of ourselves. It's an art form that we're constantly using, and it's a protection from the elements, all of that. And that's what comes together to create clothes. We bring our aesthetic into fashion because it's a set of principles underlying and guiding the work of a particular artist or artistic movement to form of art in our everyday life. So if we follow this, the idea is to define my specific aesthetic. We can figure out the base notes of it, like how certain artists use specific canvases or paint techniques and stuff, like a specific medium. Some people use watercolors, some, you know, are sculptors, kind of figuring out those techniques, those brushstrokes that I will kind of stick to. This video is discussing those mediums, my palette, my canvas, all of the different things that go together to create the kind of art that I want to make through my clothing. So this might be a little bit long, and we're gonna break it down into sections. First, color analysis. This is a tool we can use to determine which colors flatter you the most. This is a theory that states each person has a specific season that considers skin tone, eye color, hair color, and formulates the best color palette for our clothing based on those factors. Based on this idea of color analysis, we will find three main types of colors. One, colors that look good on you and enhance your natural beauty, these colors that suit you. Two, neutral or universal colors that anybody can wear, and 3, colors that are wrong for you and can clash with your natural palette and make you look drained or discolored, tired, just colors that don't suit you personally. Each color essentially has a point on a 3D graph that will determine the season of that color. In my mind, that means there's a fun 3D shape where we can find colors that suit us best. This graph has 3 different axes. Axis 1, hue and temperature, the warmth or coolness of colors. Typically, we perceive colors as warmer or cooler. Typically, we associate yellows, oranges, and reds as warmer, and greens, blues, and purples as cooler. But not all yellows are warm, not all blues are cool. If a color's tone is imperceptible, it's a neutral. Nice and simple. Axis 2, value that determines how light or dark a color is. And axis 3, a color saturation, how bright or muted a color is, essentially how close to gray a color is. Clear, bright colors are far away from gray, and as you add gray to a color, it becomes a different tone and becomes muted. Now, we can use that 3D graph to assign different seasons to colors for seasonal color analysis. Now, I'm not an expert on seasonal color analysis. There's people that get paid for this, okay? This is just from my understanding of the, research that I did specifically for myself. One day, possibly, I'll reach out and get a professional color analysis, but I don't got the money for that right now. That's not gonna happen right now. This is just Alana's version. Seasonal color analysis comes from the understanding of the 4 natural seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. Originally, the way these seasons were determined were based simply on hue and value, with spring being warmer light colors, summer being cooler light colors, fall being warmer dark colors, and winter being cooler dark colors, with these seasons being based on skin undertone and hair color. If you tan easy, you're warmer, and if you burn easy, you're cooler, and stuff like that. But as you can see, I am African American. That is not the way it would work for me. Truthfully, most people do not fall neatly into these 4 seasons, especially people of color. There's been kind of an update from someone falling into one of these 4 seasons to someone falling into one of 12, with these 12 taking chroma into account. For example, the spring season can be described as light and warm, but also bright. This is where the flow comes in, like the natural world. Summer doesn't immediately change into fall overnight. Leaves don't immediately turn brown and fall off trees. There's a crossover as the seasons flow. So, using our newfound understanding of these 3 axes, I'll go into my own personal color palette and my seasonal color analysis based on my physical attributes. We sum this up by identifying the color settings of my natural coloring and match them with a color season with similar settings. Like before, we dive into those 3 axes. First, hue. This is not the shade of your skin, but the essential understanding comes from whether the undertone is warm or cool. This one's really simple for me. I wear warm foundation, gold jewelry. My hair is a pretty dark brown, but it's still a really warm brown. My eyes are pretty golden brown. My hue is squarely on the warm side. Second, value. That is determined by how light or dark the coloring of our overall features are, looking at how closely our own features fall on the scale from light to dark, how much contrast is present in our features. Individuals with a light value have no features that are dark in value, with low contrast in their features. Individuals with a dark value have prominent dark hair and eyes, which stand in contrast to lighter skin. Not necessarily that the skin itself is light, but the contrast between the features is high. And finally, there are those who kind of fall by default in the medium of those who have overall mid-tones in hair and skin, light skin and eyes, but dark hair or overall dark features. I wasn't sure where I fell, so I did a little experiment. So we can convert our photos to grayscale and determine the composition and the values of these photos. Scarlett is a light value. Her hair is blonde and she has light colored eyes, and she does not have a lot of contrast in her light skin and features. Her color palette is very even on the lighter end. Deny is a medium value. She has dark skin that does not contrast with her dark hair and eyes. Now me, Lana, I have dark hair and eyes compared to my lighter skin. I have two pictures and they have both tested high contrast compared to both Deny and Scarlett. And third, chroma. This aspect of coloring determines whether I would look better in highly, medium, or desaturated colors. This will depend on the amount of gray pigments in the natural coloring. I find this one confusing. Well, I find this one the most confusing because my resources say individuals with high chroma have a bright appearance, hair, skin, and eyes are fully saturated, features are vibrant and full of color. Essentially, it said if you look good in gray, you'll look good in gray, which is stupid. Kind of redundant. So, I mean, I think my features are bright and vibrant with no ashiness, so maybe I'm a medium chroma. I'm in the middle of the pack, so that one, we'll come back to that. But altogether, we put our points on the graph, and we get my skin tone on the warm side, my value on the dark side, and my chroma being muted, I think. We put these three together and we land in my color season being somewhere between true autumn and deep autumn. Now, there are some qualifications about the statements I just made. One, like I said, I'm not a professional. The best way for me to actually find out what season I would be is to go to a trained color analysis. A lot of these principles, as discussed before, very much focused on Caucasian individuals as the standard. In my research, they talk about tanning easy and balayages, things that simply do not apply to me and my brown skin. So chances are some of these principles are not as fleshed out for people who look like me, and that kind of creates a blurring effect. Chroma in general feels very much based on vibes once you get past a certain shade, and that could toss me into an entirely different category. A lot of the examples of these categories and seasonal analyses are using non-POC celebrities as examples. I can be a true autumn and I'm just reading things incorrect, and I'm only seeing one brown skin, true autumn, and a sea of red-headed, light-skinned people, and believing I'm not just because there are not many examples that resemble me. Except for you, Alicia Burke. Shout out to you, babe. Hope you're doing great. Finally, 3, I simply don't like the deep autumn color palette as much as I like the true autumn one. I don't like the burgundies and the deep purples the deep autumn palette gave to me. So that's just a matter of taste, I guess. We'll call it deep autumn and try to curate a mix of both going forward, I guess. So that's where we sit on that, I guess. Understanding our body type can help with determining the silhouettes of the clothing that we put on our bodies. Certain shapes of these silhouettes can complement certain body types better than others. Previously, again, our understanding of body types was extremely simplistic, breaking it down to 5 different shapes: pear, apple, rectangle, inverted triangle, and hourglass, focusing on one's waistline in relation to shoulder and hips. We'll skip to me on this one. The widest points of my hips and bust are about the same width, maybe about an inch or so apart, and my waist is significantly smaller by about 9 to 10 inches. Based on this understanding of body types, I'm hourglass shaped. So scientifically, I'm shaped like a Coke bottle. Stereotypically, a lot of suggested clothes for this body type are fitted to accentuate the waist. High-rise shorts and pants, fitted tops and sweaters, belts, fitted coats, tailored stuff, peplums, sweetheart necklines. Well, I think that's boring, okay? I hate peplum tops. I think they're lame. Belts are a plague. I hate belts so much. And I don't want to have to show my chest off all the time. That sounds really dumb. Yes, I clearly fit into the hourglass body shape, but I think the suggestions for hourglass silhouettes are dumb and boring. And what about people who don't fit neatly into one of these 5 categories? When you start to break things down into more categories, you can get more specific for different people. So I kept researching and found that much like the 4 original color seasons being expanded, there is an expanded idea of body types. This is where the Kibbe body type comes in. Kibbe, Kibe, Kibbe, Kibe. In 1987, David Kibbe, an image professional based in New York City, published Metamorphosis, a personal image and style book for women, where instead of focusing on accentuating an individual body part like the traditional fruit theory based on symmetry, he believes it's about creating a harmonious style. Kibbe based this on a person's balance of feminine and masculine. He denotes as yin and yang. Our understanding of this yin and yang and the contrast between them places us on another graph. Where a person lands on this graph depends on their physical characteristics, and this will determine their body type. Each Kibbe body type theoretically comes with guidelines covering elements of personal appearance, including hair, makeup, and clothing to achieve a complete and harmonious look. We get into our understanding of yin and yang with the basic idea that everything exists in inseparable and contradictory opposites: light, dark, old, young, male, female, etc., with yin being on one end being considered the feminine energy that is manifested as curved lines, round edges, flowing silhouettes, curves, and swirls, and yang being on the other end, being masculine energy, manifesting as strong vertical lines, sharp edges, rectangles, triangles. But as we know, our world doesn't work in absolute opposites. Everything is on a spectrum. Because of this, yin and yang will act as our x-axis, with yang being on one end and yin being on the other. Now, these principles are not supposed to be based on your body weight or how your body holds fat. They are based solely on the lines of your body, specifically in a body's bone structure, body flesh, and facial features. Now we move on to our y-axis. This is determined by the way yin and yang are mixed within a body. This is identified as contrast and blend. If a body consists of a combination of physical features that are distinctly yin or yang, this would result in a contrasting body type. If a body consists of a combination of physical features that are distinctly yin or yang, this would result in a contrasting body type. I'll be honest, this concept really confused me when I first read about it. I think from what I can understand, if you have very obvious features that are both yin and yang, like a large forehead, yang, big round eyes, yin, a small delicate nose, yin, and thin lips, yang, so two of each, they're contrasting. And if your features are in the middle, they're neither yin or yang, then they're blended. That kind of throws off our whole XY axis, throws that whole thing kind of out the water. From the understanding of these principles, Kibbe created 5 different type families. But Alana, you said that people weren't going to fit into 5 categories neatly. Stop interrupting me. There are 5 main pure body types kind of spanning the yin-yang axis that we created. They are dramatic, gamin, natural, classic, and romantic, with the 8 remaining body types falling between 2 of the pure. I'm not going to go over descriptions of all of them. I'll link a concise article below. Just know dramatics land more on the yang side and romantics land more on the yin side. Pure types are very rare. This is where our mixes come in. Now, I have read somewhere that it has gone down to 10 Kibbe body types in recent history, but none of them would be my body type, so I'm not gonna get into all of that because this is all about me. Using that, we will go into my Kibbe body type. Fortunately for me, the concept wardrobe has a simple test. Unfortunately for me, I have pretty bad body dysmorphia, and by all accounts, I'm unsure what I really look like, so I took the test with my partner, Krishan. That test was one of those multiple choice ones where you have, choices A through E, and you tally up how many of each letter you have. After taking the test, approximately 70 to 80% of my answers were E's, with a few C's sprinkled in, making me, unsurprisingly, a romantic. Yeah. Romantic Kibbe body type is defined by roundness and curves. Romantic have a full hourglass figure, which should be emphasized through your clothing lines. To match the roundness of the romantic body, keep the overall shape of your clothes round and soft. Circles, ornate swirls, and intricate flowing shapes from the form of ruffles, bows, and round necklines will add to the softness. The description uses words like soft, voluptuous, fleshy, etc., with the entire type being characterized by a lot of those yin characteristics that we talked about earlier. There is an added layer to this that gets into what are called style essences, but those are complicated, and I don't want to get into that in depth because we'll be here all day. A quick overview of this concept is the style essences are very similar to the Kibbe system with 2 additional yin essences, with all 7 of them being dramatic, gamin, natural, classic, romantic, ingenue, and angelic. Yet again, there are some qualifications. The Kibbe system, much like our other systems, do not take into account a lot of the nuances of being a person of color. Features that are often found in women of color, like broad noses, almond-shaped eyes, and coarse hair, are associated with being yang features. Women of color are often classified as having more of those masculine features, which very much puts us in a very specific box. The Kibbe system at its simplest is based on the features, body types, and essences of old Hollywood, an era that was small and, say, monochromatic. This issue with the inception of the system can also translate over to inclusivity in weight. The world and Hollywood have never been the most accepting of non-straight body types. Because of this, mid to plus size individuals have a much harder time finding types because their features will suggest something entirely different. No system is going to be perfect, and it's not going to be able to capture everybody because we are all inherently different. And again, I'm not a professional. Please don't follow me up. Do your own research. All that being said, I don't think I really love the romantic answer either. I don't think I want to be constantly accentuating my tiny little bitty itty waist with, belts. I hate belts. I don't want all my clothing to be skin tight. And I don't know about the ruffles and bows. I'm about to be 25. I don't know if I like that. However, much like the color palette, I might just need to open my mind, try new things. I never know what'll look good on me till I try it. There's a chance that I am a romantic body type, with my style essence being somewhere between classic and romantic, and I think that's something we can build off of. So we have the palette and we have the canvas. There's just the matter of putting them all together, gathering some rules for shopping and crafting, and building a cohesive wardrobe. So my rules for shopping and a possible closet clean out, like, comment, subscribe, are: embrace warm colors, lightweight fabric that drapes easily, sheer finishes, ruffles, heart-shaped necklines, high-waisted pants, slightly pleated pants, floral prints, off-the-shoulder lines, rounded lines. And we'll try to avoid cool colors like mint green, lavender, and bright gray. As much as it breaks my heart, pastels, dusty shades, bright whites like the shirt, I guess it's going out, long lines, straight cut dresses with no waist, and animal prints, which are fine. I don't like animal prints. I think these are nice rules of thumb for the general idea of my wardrobe. I don't think I'll consider them an end-all be-all of all of the clothes I purchase or wear in the future, but I really do want my wardrobe to be more cohesive and flattering. And that's pretty much it. I think those are good rules to kind of follow to find out like the best ways to shop going forward for obviously clothes that are already made. When I'm going shopping at a store or thrifting or something like that, I'll be able to have those ideas in my head. But also in the future, while I'm looking for fabric or different yarns for when I'm making different things that I want to wear, I don't think I've done the best with like my yarn selection specifically. I just pick pretty colors and I don't think of the idea that I'm actually going to knit with them. So that's it. I want to say thank you to everybody who watched the intro video that I made like a year and a half ago. As you can tell, it took quite a bit of hyping myself up to post it, so I want to say thank you so much. The goal right now is to post at least once a month, maybe even up to 2. You can like and subscribe. That would be really cool if you did that. Or don't. I'm not your boss, Thanks for watching this all the way through. If you're not gonna subscribe, that's kind of crazy, but like, again, I don't pay your bills. You do you, Bookie.